Alright, good, welcome back. And you guys will see it pop up on your stream in a second. I mean, there's just a slight delay. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to, just a kind of quick little Blender recap on some stuff we learned earlier, and we're also going to implement how to paint our UV meshes. I'm thinking today we'll do a Christmas theme. Sound good, guys? We can do something something like that. And yeah, okay, so let's hop into Blender. First things first, and let's fire it up. Let me turn on screencast key so you guys can see actually what I'm doing. Alright, now you guys can see the actual buttons that I'm hitting. Cool. I'm just going to delete these guys just to start with, because I don't really want them. Actually, screw it, sorry, I'll leave it. I'm going to hide their view though over here in the corner. I'm going to hide the camera and the lamp. Alright, so let's make, what do you guys want to do? Let's make a Christmas ornament, alright? We want to do a Christmas tree? Christmas tree? You want to do a Christmas tree? Okay, we can do that.
Ornament.
Yeah, it'll be like a Christmas tree ornament.
No, like an ornament. Like
I don't really want to make a ball.
Alright.
Just because it doesn't really show, you can't really show how to cut the UV with a ball.
Alright.
So we're going to use a tree, because this will actually give us some dimensions to work with. It's either a tree or like a gingerbread man. It'll probably work the best, but let's just do a tree, it's fine. So let's just start with a base. This will be like sort of representation of the tree trunk. Make it a little skinnier. And let's go in here and let's do a loop cut, and let's give it a little extra dimensions, because we're going to need to bow out the tree looking, make it look like branches. Actually, you know what else we're going to do is I'm going to cut it in half this way. I'm going to grab all these faces, turn it to see-through mode. I'm going to grab all these faces on this side, I'm going to delete them. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to apply this mirror mode. Dealt with earlier. Now everything will be applied to both symmetrically. So let's grab this and let's extrude it out. Like so. Actually, no, let's grab these top two and let's extrude them both. We can go to lines, you can grab this top line, we can pull it back in. Move up there, grab this next line down. And it's a nice thing about mirror mode, you know, everything that I do on this right side is going to be automatically applied. And now let's just work our way up, and let's just do that a whole bunch of times until we have a tree. Grab these two faces here, extrude them out. Yeah, we're going to want to also extrude, not individual, we want to extrude region. The difference there is when we extrude region, we're extruding these two objects together as a whole, so it's coming out as one solid object, versus extruding individual, it would be those two objects individually, so you'd be able to pull them apart and then you could separate them and you'd have two solid columns. Versus extruding individually, well, this only gives us one column. Like if we go into see-through mode, we aren't going to have if we extruded individually, we'd have a little panel here going through the middle. We don't want that. That's just extra faces. And when we go to cut it, you'll see extra faces aren't good. So let's grab these two lines and let's just kind of work it back like we did the other one. Let's bring this side in a little bit too. A little bit just for the dimensions. Extrude this side out. Okay, about there. Grab this line, switch it back to the line node. Grab this line and this line. Work our way back in. Let's bring all of these ones down a little bit also. Let's grab this face and let's extrude it out. Let's grab this top line. Let's bring it back in. We can actually bring that down as well. See, we need to bring it down all together, otherwise we're going to get this problem here. See how this face is cutting? That's not going to be a real face. So we need to bring down all of these lines together. And let's bring this one in a little bit. This is going to be interesting. I've never cut a tree like this before, so I'm interested to see how it's going to turn out. Let's bring that down. Let's do the same thing again. Just continue to keep on extruding. You can see this mirror mode is awesome, you know, right? I mean, it just, everything we do on one side, it's going to automatically apply to the other side. So it's super handy when you're doing anything at all in modeling. I mean, you know, anytime you have to do half the work, it's going to be a good thing, right? All right, let's bring this down. We can put a little star out of it or something, probably. I don't know if my dimensions are going to be right for my star, but whatever. Okay, well, maybe we'll just make a diamond instead. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have a diamond on top of our tree instead of a star. That's fine. Oh, when you're working with mirror mode and you want to do something right along the edge and you want to like move these around and you don't want it to get all jacked up like that, you can go into the properties here of your modifier. So you have modifiers right there, and you just click clipping, and clipping is going to automatically realize that, so you can move it, you know, back and forth, and it's not gonna mess anything up. All right, this bottom is looking crazy right now, though. Let's bring that down a little bit, bring all of it down a little bit. Whoa. Okay, so that, I mean, you know, it kind of looks like a tree, right? Sorta. Sort of enough. Which is all we're really going for. Alright, so fortunately with this, it's going to be super easy because we're going to be painting it mostly green. Blender's really cool because we can do this all at once in Blender, which is nice, just for visual stakes. You go in here and you can make a new material over here on the side. I'm going to close that. So you can go over here and we can make this new material. We can go into the edit mode of this object, right? And we can select all these faces. And then we can just assign this material to it. So let's color it. Right here you can just click on this color shader. You can go, let's make it like a nice like forest green or something, if I can get that. Darker, a little more green. Oh shoot, I must change the diffuse to that, but whatever. Okay, so it looks like it was already being assigned this material. But so now we have this little grain tree, right? This isn't UV cutting or anything. This is just the texture in Blender, just to get a basic look going. And then, you know, you can always just make, you can hit this little plus sign, you can make a new material. You can give it whatever attributes you want. In the same way, you just want to make sure you have the faces selected that you want to apply the material to, and then just hit assign. And I'll change it. Since it's in mirror mode, it will still mirror it, everything fine. But what we really need to do is we need to cut, and that's like probably like the least favorite part for every artist that I've ever met in the entire world. They hate cutting UV faces, and I see why. It's a pain, but that's okay. So we're gonna start. We're gonna cut. We're gonna cut the bottom off altogether. So ideally, what we're gonna do is when we're cutting meshes, we're marking little seams, and in each of those seams, like if we mark this line right here with a seam, right? If we mark it like that, when we cut it, when we actually do the unwrapping of the mesh itself, this little panel right here is just going to be all on its own. It's going to be like its own little triangular panel that we're going to be able to manipulate with. So we're going to want to do that a few times, and since it'll also be mirrored, it'll be really helpful. So let me just do it, and it'll probably make more sense once we're into once I'm actually showing you versus just trying to explain it. Okay, then we can go over here into the shading and UV section, and we're going to want to mark seam. And now it's represented in our edit mode with these little red lines, and that just means that there's now a seam being marked there for them. So when we unwrap it, we're going to get this little like, you know, six panel object down there that we're going to be able to work with. But since it's going to be like a weird circle, we're probably going to want to make one cut in the back of it, just so it's just so it lays flat versus looking all janky. And I mean, there's so many different ways you can do this, and there's so many different ways you can make it really good in your own and everything, but it all just comes with practice and with time, and time's just probably the biggest part of all of it. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut out this whole front face, and we're going to see if that kind of gives us what we want for the most part. Maybe it might not. I've never cut a tree before, so I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to look. And then we'll keep the star all its own. And we're gonna need to combine some of these lines. That's fine, like this line and this line. Right inside here, we're gonna need to combine these two. That's easy. We can just do Alt-M, which will allow us to merge. We can merge it at center. Oh wait, we don't want to do that. We want to be in vertice mode. And we're going to grab these two vertices. And we can merge them. Actually, we'll merge it at the most inner point. Actually, no, so I take that back. We'll do the most outer point. So we're going to click in order of the inner one, then the outer one, Alt-M to merge, and we'll do merge at last. And then I'll pop it up forward like that. We're going to do it here again, Alt-M at last. Nope, didn't do that. Missed it. Alt-M at last. And now we got rid of that face, that extra face that we had there, because we don't want that. Because when we unwrap it, we're going to see that. It's going to be in a horrible spot and somewhere like we can't access, and it's just, it'll really, really, really throw off your mesh. So if you guys are like making meshes at home and you're just working on it, and you go to market and then you unwrap it, and you're like, what are all these extra phases for? Like, take a minute, go into see-through mode, and like go through your mesh and look and make sure there's no little hidden faces that aren't actually doing anything. Like you see this face, it's just a plane. It literally has no purpose here. I mean, we could also probably just grab this face as a whole and delete it. We can delete its face altogether. And, well, that didn't work that great. But the way I'm going to do it is pretty clean, because you can just join these verts, and it will allow you a little more control and a little more access. So those are all gone. What other do I have? Any more hidden ones? Yeah, I've got a hidden one here. I think that's looks like the last one. I guess we could also probably take this front one, and just move it down a little bit. That's another little trick we could do if we don't want to join. We want to just do it that way. But now we're gonna have to remark that face, right? We're gonna have to recut this line here and remark the seam. So we'll mark that one, and then this one got pulled down too, so we're gonna mark this one as well. Well, we'll actually unmark this one, because when we apply this mirror modifier, we should just it'll look like a giant cutout, more or less, of these two lines, which will be super helpful when we're actually building it. I'm going to cut this line, and then I'm going to work our way back down the backside. You can hold shift and scroll wheel to pan up and down. Same way with control. You can hold control and scroll wheel to go left and right pan, which is nice. Which is nice if you just need to do quick things like this, or if you're following along a line and you're just trying to like hit every single vert as you go up. It's really beneficial that way as well. Okay, but let's keep marking these seams, and let's cut this thing. Alright, so these seams are marked. Now let's I'm just gonna go ahead and unwrap it right now. It probably won't look great, but it'll give you guys sort of an idea of what we're gonna be seeing in the end as the end product. Maybe it might just be so bad we just need to kind of redo it a little bit. I need to hide my taskbar real quick. This is driving me crazy. Okay, so once we marked it, we can go down here. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that. I'll just do it again real quick. So you go here to UV mapping, click unwrap. And then down in this little adjuster, you need to change your view to the UV image editor. And so bring up that, and okay, yeah, see how this is all crazy, not looking the way it should. That's fine. Okay, see, that's just part of the process. You know, it's just let's go ahead and make a few cuts here. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to apply the mirror modifier now, since we're not really going to make any changes to the actual geometry itself. So let's go into our modifier tab here. Let's apply this mirror modifier. Oh, it can't be applied in edit mode, so we got to go back into object mode, hit apply, go back in edit mode, and now see how all these lines are marked for us already? It kind of does a lot of the work for us, which is cool. And let's go ahead and unwrap this again. Oh, I think I know why. We need to make a few marks. A couple places. Like, we need to mark up our star. We can do that real quick. Cut. See, I could have done this all in the mirror modifier, so I wouldn't have to do it twice. But it's okay. Now we'll mark these seams, just like that. I mean, because you really want to look at it in the way and ask yourself, if this was a piece of paper and I was to unfold this paper and I was to cut out all of these seams just with anything, how would it look? That's the real question we're asking ourselves. Let's go ahead and unwrap it again. Let's see if that made it any better. Not much. Shoot. That's okay. Because I think this is our tree face all right in here. But one thing you can do if you're unsure of what is what, you can go in here and you can click this button here, which will keep edit mode and UV mode in sync. And then you can go to faces. We can start selecting certain faces, and this will tell us like what is selected. So these huge panels down here, it's just these lines going up the tree, right? See how these panels get highlighted when the proper piece is being highlighted. So that's fine. That's actually really easy to fix because it's so big, it's throwing off the scale of all these other ones, which is just just messing things up. So we're just gonna go here, go back into line mode, and we're just gonna start making little cuts. Like put a cut there, put a cut here, put another cut here, and this way we'll just be cutting out the individual, I guess you could say, tree branches, even though it's definitely not a branch, but yeah. Okay. And this should make it a little more manageable when we view it in the UV image editor. Okay, all these seams are marked. Let's go ahead and pop that on there. Oh, but that didn't actually mark them, so let's try that again. Doesn't look like it's being marked for some reason. Okay, it is. It's just hard to see. Now let's unwrap it, and we're just probably gonna end up unwrapping this a whole bunch of times until we get it somewhere we like. See, that doesn't really look great. But what we can do, I'm wondering. Sorry, just give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna take a look. I think that our front and our back might be connected somewhere. Maybe not. Alright, so it's not quite as easy as I was hoping it was. I'm going to go through, I'm going to cut out each individual section of our tree, and then we'll go through and we will paint them individually. Mark them. Because see, now when it cuts out, we're going to be cutting out each of these panels. And then since each side is matching, we can just stack them. We can stack them on top of each other inside of the UV image editor, and it will do some magic for us. Now we're going to unwrap it again. We're going to see if this helps out at all. Fortunately, I think it is doing what we want it to do, but it's just these panels are huge. You know, so if we go into here, that's okay. We can edit everything from inside the UV image editor, which is nice. Like we can change all of this. So depending on how we have it set up, you can hit W or you can hit L and it'll grab the whole section that's cut. And then you can press W and it'll allow you to move it around. See, I think that these two are the same, so we're going to hit Control R. No, maybe just R. Resizes it. Okay, we're going to hit E, and we're going to translate it on the x-axis 180 degrees, and I'll just flip it around. And then we can line up these. We're going to want to line up these verts, though. That's what's really going to allow us. The closer these things are all lined up, when you go to paint it, that'll make it match up more. So if you're doing like a complex human character and you are cutting it and you're going to unwrap it this way, you really want to make sure that these verts are perfectly lined up, because if they're not, then one arm will be painted one way and the other arm should be just a mirror of that arm, but it won't. It'll be a little bit off. And no one likes that. Now we can hit S to scale it, or I'm sorry, hit R to scale it. Let's grab both of these though. We can hit B and box select everything in this box. So we can hit R to scale it. We're only going to want to scale it along the Y-axis, right? So we're just going to hit Y, and that'll allow us to scale it up. So now we actually see. I mean, this is this face and this face, right? And actually, it kind of looks like it. So that's good. That's all. That's our main goal. I'm going to grab these pieces and I'm just going to kind of move them off to the side for now. And then I'm going to size them with each other in a second. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these little pieces that we have on the... Because all of these are, these little lines right here, all they are just these lines that are between the two panels that we're going to be painting. And we'll probably just paint it like a basic green. So we can just grab all these panels and we can just stack them on top of each other. And then when we bring this into Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you're using to paint with, we'll just paint that whole strip green. And then so along the side of these trees, we'll just have, along the side of these trees here, it'll just have like a solid green color. And then all the detail is going to be on this, on the actual front face, with the same exact mirrored detail on this back face. Alright, so let's get back to what we're doing now. Yeah, so let's just L to grab, W to move, L to grab, W to move. L grabs the entire section that's been cut out on its own. So it's really handy if you're like, oh man, I made this character mesh and it's this guy and he has these arms, but I only want to access just his arms, so then just hover over the little point that are his arms and hit L and it will do just that. Or if you have a bunch of little ones like this, sometimes what I like to do is I'll hit F to zoom in, I'll hit B to box select, and I'll just grab all of them like this. Hit L to grab in the rest of that. You can also hit Shift L to grab multiple objects. W to move. Yeah, like I don't even know what these tiny little pieces are, but that's okay. We'll figure that out in a sec. So all of these, I'll probably end up stacking, like I said, just to paint it all one solid color, and that way I won't have to worry about grabbing multiple colors. Okay, I got circle selected, and I don't know why it's not deselecting. I don't want any of these tools right now. This is killing me. Okay, there we go. Move that there, grab this. Focus in on it, find out what it is. It looks like it's flat. We can move it out of the way. Okay, now we're actually going to go into our tree, and we're going to grab all these little guys. This looks like it's upside down, so let's grab the whole thing with L, hit E to rotate, E rotates it, but since we want it exact, we're going to E and then X, which will rotate it along the X coordinate only, and we need to do 180 along the X. And we can hit W to move it, and let's just center it up with these two, because I think this is its pair. Although I should probably be a little more careful instead of just assuming. So let's zoom in on these two, and let's hit linked mode, and then we can grab these two with box select, and now we can figure out, okay, perfect. So these two are exactly the same ones. That's all we want. Let's go ahead and take off vertical sync, and let's go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger, this window a little bit bigger, and let's line them up. By all means, if anyone has a better way of doing this, please let me know, because it's long and tedious and it's not fun. I don't know, maybe there's some people out there that just love lining up UV meshes or something, but not this guy. Okay, so we got that going. Now let's we're gonna hit R to scale, but we don't want to scale the whole thing, right? We only want to scale it on its y-axis. We hit R, then Y. Nope, hit R, then Y, and then we just drag to the side, and it will pull out. Now we can kind of scale it however we want. I'm going to scale Y down a little bit. But now it's way bigger. One thing that's nice is we can see that they're not lined up anymore, right, at all. So it's bigger. It's a little easier to line things up when they're larger. You know, for what we're doing, just making this little tree, it's not going to make a huge difference as to how perfectly lined up it is. But like I said, if you're making a complex mesh and you have like a character or something and you want its textures to look good, you want these verts to be like on point with each other. You don't want them to be off even the slightest bit, because that'll throw it off a little bit. Okay, well, that's good enough for now. I'm going to grab both, if it lets me. Okay, I'm going to box select both, and I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. Now that's nice, and move it off to the side. Let's open up all of these. Let's just find these matchers, right? So when you take off this vertical sync button, you only see what is currently selected in your 3D view. So if you want to use that L trick to where you are picking up everything, you have to make sure everything's selected, because you can't hit L to select the region if you're in vertical sync mode, right? So if I turn this on, it's going to give me that little error, right? Cannot select linked. So you got to turn that off, make sure your 3D model is selected, that way you can actually see what you're working with. And you can L to select the region. You can zoom in on it, whatever. Let's rotate it again, and let's bring it down. Let's bring it down and line it up with that. Okay, I gotta speed up a little bit. I didn't realize how slow I'm going. Okay, let's box select all of them. Let's just bring it off to the side. L here. Move it a little closer, rotate it with E, 180 degrees on the x-axis, and let's line up its verts. L here, bring it up, rotate it. Oh, that's not right. Now we're gonna have to go through here. We're gonna have to figure out which parts are which, right? And then we're gonna organize it that way. So this line looks like second to the top. This is the top. This must be third. This must be fourth. Oh, that's bottom. Okay. And this must be third. Okay. Perfect. Make sure we have our mesh selected. Okay. Put that up. Slowly work our way down. This one was our bottom, right? So we're gonna put it all the way down here. This is the next, but it's still huge, so we're going to scale it down a little bit with R. Shoot, which one was our top again? I don't remember. Okay, it was that. That's third. This must be second. Okay. Since this one's completely upside down altogether, we're going to need to rotate it. Okay, let's scale that up on the Y a little bit. Bring that down, scale it up, Y-axis again. Oh, see how far off that is? Like, I thought I had it super lined up and wasn't even close. That's okay. And like I said, for this tree, it's not going to have to be good or anything. Conceptual learning. Okay, it looks like I got out of order here somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Okay, now we gotta find our star, which looks like it is maybe these two. Also, you can, if you want to do individual faces like this, you can grab these guys over here, like so, and it'll reflect down here in our UV image editor. And we can go down, once we have it down there, we can move these individually, which is kind of nice. Since our star is going to be one solid color, I guess we can just stack it on top of each other. That won't matter either for now. Oh, okay, yeah. So here's a perfect example of us having a line where we don't want one. So you see that face? We got like a few faces actually inside here because of that diamond. We got this guy, and that guy. I hope it's not that one, but that one. Now we got these three faces in there. Like, we don't want that, right? Now that's why I got these extra little faces down here, and I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? And they're just extras. So that's easy, you know. We just go in, delete faces only. The only downside of that is everything we just did, now we have to redo because our mesh wasn't complete. So we're going to have to actually grab everything again and unwrap it again, unfortunately. But I can grab all of this stuff since I know what most of it is. Just move it. Rotate it again. I'll select these ones with B, move down with W, so on and so forth, over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Okay, let's flip that one. Let's line them up. L to select, E to rotate, X to say its rotational axis, and enter the amount. Alright, now that these guys are starting to get lined up, I'm hoping that this is the order, that they're in the right order too. Okay. Perfect. Okay, now we got to do that thing we did earlier where we got to make them right sizes. So let's box select all of them. Let's hit R to resize, Y to do it on the Y axis only, and yeah. Select these two, same thing. Let's resize it with Y. Get it in its right position. Let's line it up a little bit better. Line up this one a little bit better too. Select them all. Select everything again. B. B is the key. B to select it all. So we want everything that we fit to be within this little grid that they have right here. because this is a 1024 by 1024 grid, which is what we're going to export. This little map right here, we're going to export that into GIMP. That's how we're actually going to paint our object itself. But let's find where our star is located at in this world. And let's grab all of these verts and let's just move them to like this top right corner. So we're just going to paint all of this yellow regardless. Doesn't really matter. Just kind of get it out of the way though. See you guys. And then, okay. Let's select everything now, because then the only things that should be left should be our edges. We can test that here in a second to make sure. Yeah, just those guys. Sorry, grab just these. And we have our edges. Oh, one thing we'll also need to do is we're going to need to get our final, this little guy is going to have to be brown, right? Because it's going to be the stump. So let's find out where he's located. Let's grab this. Let's be our stump. Stack it in there. And now all this other stuff we can just grab. We can scale it way down and we can just put it in the corner. And then we can, now that we got that, now everything's cut out more or less good enough. We can go into UVs. Let's export this UV layout and let's call it, I'm just going to throw it on my desktop for now. Let's call it Christmas tree map. And we'll export that UV layout. Like I said, oh, sorry. When you export UV layouts, nothing will show up unless you have the mesh itself selected, because only what you have selected is the only thing that's going to show up on that actual UV layout. So let's re-export that. Desktop, we can name it just the same thing. Christmas tree. Save over it. And now let's go into GIMP. So you can keep Blender on the background. And then from here, we're going to just open it. Open up Christmas tree map as PNG, and now you see we have it all just like so. And from here we can start coloring it and making it all fun. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in GIMP or not before. It's pretty easy to work in. Let's pull out our tools and let's pull out layers. It's just like Photoshop. If you guys have worked on Photoshop, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a free version of it, which is nice. Nice for us poor college students, right? Okay, so since this is our star up here, we can just grab this box, or we can box select it, like so. And let's just cover everything. And one thing I also like to do, sorry, is I'll move our outline layer to the top, above what we're actually working on. That way, when we paint layers, it'll still stay up there, and we can it'll retain a map. So let's paint it. Let's paint our star. Let's paint a nice bright yellow star. We'll just drop it on there, and just for the sake of time, I'm going to do more or less the same thing for all these guys. That's not working like I wanted it to. That's okay. Select none. That's not a good spot either, sorry. This is going to be green, right? It's going to be our tree. Let's make it a little darker, a little more foresty green. Oops. I didn't want to paint on that. That's the wrong layer. Always make sure that you're painting on the right layers too, guys. That's very important. Last thing in the world you want to do is have like some kind of picture that's half painted on one layer and half painted on the other, because it will throw everything off. So keep a good eye on what layer you're on. Let's cover that. Let's do it again down here. I highly recommend painting outside the borders too, because it does carry over a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I guess we can paint this box up here green. Oops. Give it a gradient, not a fill. And this is down here. This is our trunk, right? So we gotta give it a brown. Alright, now let's just... Oops, our lights went off. Turn them back on real quick. But for sake of time, I'm just going to paint all these green like that. And then when we export it now, we're going to want to hide this layer by just clicking that, the little I button. And then what we can do is we're going to export it as a PNG. GIMP doesn't save PNG files. GIMP saves oh god, I don't even know. BMPs, I think. BMP style files. Save it in PNG. PNGs are solid. They're so versatile, and you can do so much stuff with them. So now that it's painted, let's just call it Christmas tree. Let's get rid of the map, right? Let's just export it. We'll put it right back on the desktop, just so it's easy to work with. Now we can go back inside GIMP. Alright, back inside Blender. Leaving so soon! Alright. From here, we're gonna go back into the textures that we had. Oh man, let's see if I can remember how to do this. It's been a while. Back in the textures that we were at. Oh, so these are materials. Materials and textures are a little bit different. They're very closely intertwined. We're actually going to go to textures, not materials. And so what we're doing is for this new material, 001, we're giving it a texture. So it's no longer just a color, it's actually a textured material. And what we're going to do is we're going to, what type? We're going to want to make it an image or movie. This way we can open up a file that we've already worked with. So then, sorry, I'll go a little slower. So you want to go here, you want to set the type to image or movie, and then you want to go down to where it has the image, you can click open, and then we're going to grab the image that we just created, like so. And from there, we're going to want, oh, did they change it? They may have changed it to make it a lot easier. Okay, maybe they didn't. Alright, cool. Okay, we're going to assign this texture to this tree. I'm going to want to go into here. We're going to want to go to display and toggle. No, I take that back. Not in display. Here, shading, textured solid, and GLSL. And now this is giving us textured solid perfect. That's where we need to be. I'm going to go into here, select all of this, and we're going to grab our Christmas tree, and that's going to apply that thing we just painted in Blender. So then we can go in here and we can deselect it, and now we have our tree. It's all painted. And that's what our tree will look like in 3D space if we import it to Unity. What's cool is now we can go in and we can still edit it and stuff, which is nice, right? So we got it painted, and we can be like, oh, well, you know, that star, I kind of wanted it to have a little more of a point on the bottom or something, right? So we can grab these two. We can make any edits to it, and it's not going to affect how it's been painted, because all of this paint is being saved. All of these faces are being saved now to this thing down here, which is just a texture map of the faces themselves. So we can make, so anything we change here in this design, as long as we're not adding faces or removing faces, it won't matter. It'll still say synced up to the preset that we have it saved down below. So like I said, so we can grab this, right? We can move it in. We can be like, I want to give our star a little more dimensions. It's not going to change anything. Everything will still say fine. The right faces will be painted. And yeah, so that's about it. I mean, it's just that easy. You know, we can go back into GIMP. We can be like, oh man, I wanted to add, you know, let's turn on the outline, and we can say I wanted to add like Christmas lights. You know, let's give it some red lights somewhere. Give it some nice red Christmas lights. Paints. Fortunately, this isn't really going to be too scaled, but that's all right. You can add a little red Christmas lights all around here. Nope. This is the Game Developers Club.
Oh, okay. Well, I read that was the best.
Good luck. That improv club. I was in the improv class this summer, and I know the guy who's president of the improv club, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I'd love to join the Game Developers Club," but he never showed up. Who knows? Maybe he's watching at home on the live stream. Probably not, because it sounds like he has a club that he has to go run. Okay, so we're gonna add these little red dots, right? Ideally, what we'd want to do is we'd want to scale them and make them a little bit smaller for the smaller faces that we're working on, because when we export this, you'll see some of these dots will be like, well, they'll just be out of scale. But I mean, it's all really like just kind of messing around with it until you find something that you really like. And so now we're gonna have all these little red. Yeah, okay, cool. We got all these little red dots, and let's go ahead and let's re-export it. Control E re-exports it in GIMP, and then from here we can go pull this out, go back into our texture editor, and we're going to just gonna delete this texture altogether. And we're gonna go again, hit New, and then make sure to set it to an image or movie. Open. Go back in your desktop and open up that Christmas tree we just painted. And now it's all colored, right? And it's going to automatically reapply it for you since we already had it set up properly in our UV image editor. And now we got little, I mean, you know, very pseudo looking trees. I guess they look more like cherries and lights. But I mean, then we can go through, we could like paint this side if we wanted to and add more detail to it. We could put little ornaments on here. We could put a light inside this little yellow guy, so actually, and give it like a yellow looking light so it kind of shines out, which would be cool. Probably be easier to do in Unity, but I know that we could do it in Blender as well, because we have lights, we have lamps and cameras and stuff. We can go and we can actually see what it'll look like when it's fully rendered. If we go here and we make it straight on. Bring that across, pull it back. You can hit 0 to preview. Oh, no, you can't. Shoot, take that back. You used to be able to hit 0 to preview what the renderer was going to look like. I'm sure there's another way to do it. Maybe like 0. Okay, Control 0, not on the numpad though anymore. So when we go to render it with F12, that's what we're actually going to be looking at. Let's move it up a little bit. Down just a tad and back just a tad. Perfect. Now we go up here to render the image. Oh, our lamp's all off. Shoot. Let's actually make a quick 3-point lighting. And now when we render it. Oh wow, it's way off. It makes me wonder, something must not be set up right here. Well, you know what? It probably won't even matter. Let's just do it, because typically we're not even going to be rendering in Blender. We'll very rarely render our actual objects in Blender. It's probably easier to do it in Unity, ultimately. So we can just take our I guess people that are watching the stream, they can't see this, so Unity real quick. Okay, let's hop back into Blender. Let's hop back into Blender real quick, and let's go and let's save this file as Christmas tree. Dot blend, because we like blend files. Remember, blend files are good. Let's just throw it on the desktop. We'll probably just end up deleting it later. Throw it in a file for us all to toy around with later or something. And since we already have that PNG saved earlier from doing it in GIMP, we just go into our Unity. Let's go to project console. What game is this? This is the game. This is I think the game we were working on last week. Okay, cool. Now we can just take our little go in here, assets. Let's right click. Let's import the new asset. It's on our desktop. It's our Christmas tree blend file. Let's scale it up a little bit here. Let's scale it to like 10. And now let's import another asset. Let's import the painted Christmas tree that we had. And we should just be able to drag and drop it right on the tree. Okay, good, perfect. See, now that turns out all good. I don't know why it didn't render properly. I'm not a Blender expert or anything. I'm not that I'm a Unity expert either, but you know. Okay, so now that renders. So, in my opinion, I think it's easier to do it this way. I mean, you literally can just we can go back into Blender or into GIMP. I'm sorry. You know, and let's say like we want to add in what else is on a Christmas tree? Okay, I don't really know what that. I guess that's just like a single. We could do like a single line of like silver. Okay, this is not going to look like good tinsel, probably because I don't really know what tinsel is. But we can turn our outline back on, and now we can just start drawing our little tinsel on these guys somewhere. This is going to look so bad. You guys are going to hate me for doing this. And again, I'm not an artist by any means. I just pretend to be one on TV. Alright, Tinseltown. Check. Is it not like squiggly lines that go down? This is gonna look bad, but okay. Alright, so let's Control E, let's export it into here. Let's go ahead and now we're gonna take, we're gonna go into Unity. We're gonna take our Christmas tree mesh now, or the texture that we had, we're just gonna delete it, and now we're gonna re-import it. And it will automatically be applied to our tree as well. Oh, okay. So this is a prime example of being in GIMP. Oh shoot! I just realized that my window wasn't. Streamers at home aren't going to be able to see what we just painted in GIMP, but that's okay. I'll change that real quick. I didn't realize that my GIMP is all jacked up. Okay, so if you're watching at home on your stream, this is what we painted today. So in GIMP, alright, let's go here. And the reason when we exported that into Unity got all these lines was simply just because we were showing the outline of it. So we want to always, when we're exporting it for a final product, we want to make sure that that's not selected. That way things will actually show up properly. So now when we export it, go back into, man, they are not liking us to be here any longer. We'll go back into Unity. And let's delete that texture since it sucks. And let's import the new one. And like I said, you know, like last time, it'll be automatically imported. So that's our tree, our very halfway looking tree. Oh, and it's I have it set to, looks like, I have it set to be see-through texture. No, maybe not. Maybe I was just tripping. Okay, yeah, no, we're good. Okay, so that's our tree. You know, that's and so that's very, very basic intro to texturing in Blender. I mean, that's how That's how you'll make a texture. You'll do it in GIMP, right? You're gonna do 1024. You want to export it as a PNG. You want to apply it, and I mean that's all it really is. I mean, then you take this tutorial, and then you'll take the little animating tutorial, and you put those tools together and just toy around with it and have some fun. I mean, you'll be surprised at some of the really cool things you can create. I mean, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, it's not necessarily like hard. You know, it's not rocket science or anything, but it just takes a little time, and it takes a little getting used to, and toy around with it, and you'll find something you like. You just keep practicing. I can't stress how important it is to always be practicing and always trying to make yourself better, no matter what. But that's going to conclude today's stream and the video that will apparently be recorded as well. So thanks for watching, and tune in next week.